Hello, how's everybody? Well, today I'm going to do an ex-Jehovah. I'm doing an ex-Jehovah Witness. This is an ex-Jehovah Witness video, and it's going to be on Selena. Okay, I mean, I'm really happy for her. I mean, they did this thing on YouTube, and I think she had retired. She retired or something. So I was like watching these videos. I'm sorry. I got this background right here because it's something I'm working on. It's on a flash art that I'm doing, and it's going to be on out of Lost in Space. Okay, so that's the backdrop for now. So anyway, I decided to use that because I like to change it up a little bit and have. I always like to have some kind of background or something sometimes. So you don't see the same thing in the background all the time. So anyway, we were talking about Selena. So I started looking at her YouTubes, and it made me happy. And I was like, I remember the whole time that, from her beginning, when she was with her sister and she won this thing. I'm not so, I don't know all the terms and everything as far as tennis and all the events, but she had just won something, and she was with her sister. And I just remember him from the news. And also, I'm going back. This is when, I also remember when I was working in Florida, Biscayne. I think it was Biscayne something or whatever. And I work for a company that supplied, the food and everything. And I worked behind the scenes, of course. I was working in food, but I remember him from there. And I know that she was playing. I mean, I didn't see him or anything. I just heard a lot of people talking about them. So that's my start when I started being her fan, Venus and her fan. But then when I saw her on TV and she was talking and she said something like, how did she put it? She goes, I know, but I'm still young or whatever. And I don't know if she lost or something. I don't know how it was. But anyway, I started being her fan then. And I liked Venus, but then it was like when she came on the scene, it was like, I really liked her, you know what I mean? So I became her fan. And I was an ex-Jehovah Witness. Yeah, I was already an ex-Jehovah Witness. And I didn't know that she was Jehovah Witness then, but I just liked her style. I mean, I liked how she was. So as an ex-Jehovah Witness, I helped her. I mean, I was her fan. Your fans help you, and they support you. So I supported her as a fan, and I was an ex-Jehovah Witness. So anyway, now, I was listening. They had a lot of things on like the shorts. I'm taking the shoes off. Sometimes I put them on, sometimes I take them off. And, I get a little bit taller. I always wanted to be at least 5'10" or 5'11", but forget it. But I know I like to wear higher shoes. But anyway, these are just flip-flops. But, excuse me. So anyway, I was watching these shorts, like TikTok shorts or whatever. It was not on TikTok, but it was YouTube shorts. And also videos of her, winning and stuff like that. Because she's in retirement or something, so they started blasting us with all these things of Serena Williams. Serena or Selena? I always say Selena, but it's Serena. That's another problem I have with her name. So, I was like, wow, and it was like the last week or whatever. And I was really happy for her. And it reminded me of all the times I, was on her side, and I just liked her a lot. Even I remember the last time that she had an altercation or something, and she just threw down the racket, just throwing it down and it breaking. I thought that was great. I'm sorry. I mean, that was the best breaking of a tennis racket that I ever saw, for somebody to just throw it down and also break it. They usually like hit it or something like that, but she just threw it down. And I admired that, and I admired her so much. So anyway, when I was looking at these retirement things, retirement memories about her, I said, I really do like her. And I just like, I know I talked last time because I was really not upset, but discouraged a little bit by the decision that she made to get baptized. And I wanted to do this one because she's very important as far as the ex-Jehovah Witnesses are concerned, I think. That's how I feel about it. But I changed my attitude a little bit. And a lot of times, I'm not stuck on this attitude about not liking somebody or liking somebody, because there's been a lot of people that I didn't particularly care for, and I would write it. That's why sometimes the comments is like not really what the person wants. Sometimes they need time to think about it. Sometimes they need to see the person develop, and then they have a totally different outlook later on in the comments. So that's how I was in the beginning about, wow, in the world, why did she do that? And you can see it in my video that we're talking about. Although I do still believe in the things I said, my animosity toward her is zero now. I mean, like, because I was like looking at it, I was remembering how important she was, not just as an ex-Jehovah Witness, but as a figure in life, you know. And then I started looking at it in that light, in a light like, well, I really do like her. I even prayed about it. It was like, yeah, she was really, really something else. And I saw how she talked to herself, not talked to herself, but I saw her mindset when she was like playing, you know. And I'm almost sure a lot of times she just lost points to make the game interesting. I've never seen a tennis player fake losing points. But it was very important that she faked losing the points because the game would not be interesting at all. But because I know how, I've seen her play so many times. I mean, not the whole things. I just, study her. If you're a fan of somebody, you pretty much study how they do things. And I think it was the 15th time she played this rival. I forgot the rival's name. But she lost to the rival in the beginning, the first two times. And because I'm not going to say because she was sounding sick, but if you're sick or whatever, you still lose, you lose. And she got up her game and she started playing, and she was playing her the 15th time, and she had won 15 times against her. And I could see that she was faking like she lost some points. Some points she faked like she lost. And they knew too, because on her last, when she was playing the game and she had one more point to get, I don't know, I think they call it a tiebreaker when you have to get 7. And she was definitely faked. And they wanted to see, because everybody sees things, everybody studies things. If you don't study things, then you never grow. And I know that every organization likes to study certain things. And I know that they wanted to see, was this girl making this game interesting? And she was. Because the last point that she did an ace, and they clocked it as a let, like a net or a let, So she had to do it again, and I looked at her face, and I looked at her reaction, and she had no reaction whatsoever. She had no oh no, I have to do it again. Will I be able to do it again? I don't think I'll be able to do it again. It was like, okay, And she did the exact same thing, and it wasn't a let. That was them saying, now we know how much control you have over the game. Things like that was what, made me even like her more. But that also shows something about her life also. It shows how complex she can figure out things and want things to go her way or not go her way, or how aggressive she is. So, that's my spiel on why I really adore her, okay? As a person, too. I like the things that she went through and she conquered and things like that. Now, however, now I want to talk about... now I have to talk louder because this thing is on. But I wanted to talk about this. Although I adore her and everything, and I don't have the animosity as before, I just want to say that for sure she picked the complex choice in her life as far as being a Jehovah's Witness or not being a Jehovah's Witness. I want to go into the points now of, let me see. What section am I going to now? Now I explained to you about, this Serena Williams and how I am a fan of hers and how I feel about her now. It went back to, admiration. Now I'm saying that although, I like her, I love her playing, I love her choices that she made, different choices that she made. However, I want to state that her whole dependency and all of her love and her, the people that loved her and the people in this Christian society, everybody knows my opinion of what Christian is, Christian society, that we didn't have before Jesus, because if we said when everybody was against the Christians, you couldn't talk or say anything about anybody. So now I'd say we're living in a Christian society, especially if you're in America or you're in Europe, because in certain places you can't say things about Jesus, or you can't say things about the Christian attitude without really getting in trouble. I remember just one thing on the news where this girl had said, so I'm trying to explain to you what society she did all of her work in a Christian society. What I mean by that, I don't mean by anything about religion. I'm talking about the way this system where we live in is now. And I remember this girl, she passed a test, and she wasn't in a Christian society. And she just said something, she posted something about Jesus, and they had to hide her. It was so intense that even the teachers, professors, everybody who was like ahead of her and who could protect her, couldn't protect her, okay? And they stoned her and they killed her or burned her or whatever, I don't know. Okay, so what I'm saying is that you could take things for granted in the society, just like she has lived in the society and everybody supported her, but it's not everywhere. And I want to say this because she did everything. Okay, I want to make another point. She did everything in this society. She was able to. To live freely her life. And this is what Jesus had supplied for her. Jesus, God. In the long run, that's what it was. He doesn't say you have to do this or you have to do that. But she took it for granted, But there's only one thing, is that as a Jehovah's Witness, and you have to, being an ex-Jehovah's Witness or really knowing about ex-Jehovah's Witnesses or religions like ex-Jehovah's Witnesses, then it's not that freedom that you have. Okay, it's not as drastic as that girl getting stoned or whatever, but it's not everywhere. Everybody doesn't hold all those opinions like the Jehovah Witnesses. Everything that she did, she was not able to do, or it was not expected of her as a Jehovah Witness. But what I'm saying is everything she accomplished, we, the ex-Jehovah Witnesses, the world, the Christian people who grew up in a Christian society, everybody accepted her. And even in her writings, I researched some of her writings about when she talked about her religion, and it was so off. I mean, it was written, I want to say, because I'm going to make another point. But first, I'm just going to say it was off. I mean, it was so bad that the person writing about her, when they write about her and her religion, the editor helps her out because it's so disjointed and so mind scattering that the editor or whoever does the article usually helps out the person to grasp what she is saying. And then I read some excerpts from her book, pieces from her book that she wrote, and it was totally off. I mean, it was in a language, but it wasn't. Okay, I want to make another point too, but I'm going to keep that. But anyway, it was just so off as if a Jehovah Witness would write it, but she's writing it for, us to read. So she's writing something about her religion for the world or Christianity to read. And then she incorporates Christian into a Christian society that she is against. So it's really disjointed. So I didn't like that. I mean, what I'm saying is it just doesn't work, okay? Which leads me to a point to say this, is that everybody supported her. Everybody in the organization, of this Christianity or this society that we live in, supported her and helped her to do this, to do that. A lot of people were against her, but she was pretty much, strengthened. When people were against her, there were always people to say, wait, she's even right when she broke the record, everybody was against her. I wasn't against her. So I support her. Everybody needs support. Now, I want to stress this point, though. The thing about it is this, excuse me. Now I'm going to state the two personalities. I'm getting into this thing about that we don't even realize. It's about personality. Personality is something that we don't talk about, we don't think about too much, but it's very important, but it's very complex. I remember when I was taking a philosophy class, and my professor stated, what's a personality? And it seems so simple. It's such a simple word, and you would think everybody would know it, but it puts you in your mind state that, wow, what is a personality? You know what I mean? And then he said, if you lost your memory, but now I know the answer. It took a long time. If you lost your memory, if you didn't have any memory of anything, would you still have the same personality? And a personality is very complex. So I'm not going to get entirely into personality, but I want to I'm going to tell you to relate to this story about personality. Okay. Now, as far as being a Jehovah Witness, now I'm going to show you my experiences so I can get into what I feel about Serena Williams. Okay. Now, in a Jehovah Witness, and I know it happens to other people, but I can only express it with myself. when I grew up, I was doing something, a lot of things that you can do against their religion because they don't agree with anything. Even you can have secret birthdays. And like, for instance, okay, I remember, this is on personality, so keep that in your mind, personality. I remember I had this friend whose name was Dallas. It's old. Everybody's old I'm talking about, so it doesn't make a difference, really. So anyway, he was a very good friend of mine. And he lived in this house with this guy. Dallas had studied and became a Jehovah's Witness as an adult. And we hung around together. He helped me do drywall one time. And it was terrible though. He couldn't hold up the board. And I was trying to do this house. And when I said, and I had to screw it. And he was like, I said, hold up the board. And this guy was maybe like 6 feet 2 or something like that. And I'm 5'7". And as soon as he held up the board, oh my arms, he couldn't hold it up. So anyway, that was just one of the funny things. And anyway, he started dating, with still on personality. So anyway, he's dated this girl, this girl in the congregation that I knew. I forgot her name. But I knew her very well. I knew her name back then, of course. And he liked her. And they went well together. So anyway, he said that he told me one time, he goes, Pierre, I took her over my house. We went out on a date and we went to her parents' house, okay? And she said the Catholic prayer, okay? Point blank, perfectly. And then we ate and everything, but she was like doing the Catholic thing like it was like out of this world. And I said, oh, but I was the type of person that was like, I told you how I was. I wasn't like, I let people be. I definitely wasn't a witness that would go and tell anybody. I just wasn't like that, I told you that, So anyway, he told me that. And I just thought about it. I didn't think bad about her or anything. That's just how I was. And, but it shows you that she was a Jehovah's Witness. And she would answer and she was a perfect Jehovah's Witness. But she had this personality. That means that's part of her personality. Although it doesn't go along together, it was still part of her personality. So I'm showing you that as a Jehovah's Witness, you could have a hidden personality. I'm not saying hidden. I'm going to go deeper so that you can see what I'm talking about. And I'm going to go on myself. Some things I don't like to talk about, but I'll tell you about my personality. I want to explain to you about this personality thing so it can tie in to what Serena Williams has done, okay? In my observation. And it's true because I already know, okay? And you'll see it's true. So anyway, so I'm stating like, okay, now what was my personality? Yes, I was a Jehovah's Witness. I like to do everything just right. Sometimes I auxiliary pioneered. But I told you in my one video, okay, I'm going to tell you 2 examples. I'm going to tell you of something that I did wrong. And as far as Jehovah's Witness is concerned, and I'm not an aggressive person, but when it comes to work or doing something like my YouTubes or something, then I'm aggressive with myself. So I'm very aggressive with myself, but I'm not aggressive. But, so I want to show you that aggressiveness that I have. And I want to show you the secret that I had as a Jehovah's Witness. So just like my friend, my friend who went on a date, how she had that part of her personality. And then she was a Jehovah's Witness and a very good Jehovah's Witness. So that's like not saying 2 personalities, but let's just keep that for now. So anyway, so I remember, and I told this before, but I'm not going to get into in depth like I did before. When I was growing up, my mother didn't want me to know anything about sex whatsoever. Nothing, okay? She had her reasons. Maybe it was good. But I remember in our school, we have sex education, which is very important. And I think everybody went but me. But I had this paper, and the teacher said, back then, you fill it, you had your mother to sign it. And on the paper, I read it, it said, do you want your son to go through Pierre to go through sex education? And you had to sign it, let your mother sign it and take it back. So I remember this occasion because it was something big for me. And I went to, how can I say? I remember where she was. I remember where I was when I gave her the letter. I remember she's like laying on a cot because my mother and my father had separate rooms at that time, and she had this small room. And I was so enthused. It was like, oh no, what's gonna happen, And I gave her the paper. I think I was like in 7th grade. Yes, 7th grade, yeah. And I gave her the paper, and I was, oh please, what is she gonna do? What's she gonna do? And I was thinking about this all day long. And she looked at the paper, and she said, no way. So she put down no. And of course, I had to accept that, with my mother. Are you kidding? So I accepted that. And I took the paper. And I said this before, but I went in depth last time. So out of the whole class, me and Joanne Albano, which maybe it might have been 6th grade, I'm not sure. Because I remember Joanne Albano, me and her we had to sit and wait while everybody went to sex education once a week or something like that. I don't know how they did it, but everybody went to sex education. But me and Joanne Albano had to stay in a home economics class. Home economics room. You know what I mean? And just talk to each other. I'll never forget Joanne Albano because both of our parents didn't let us go. So anyway, so I couldn't go. I didn't know anything about sex whatsoever. Nothing. Nothing, Even my brothers would joke around because they know I didn't know anything. And they would joke around and say, where does the baby come from? Does it come from the baby? He told me, he goes, the baby comes from the butt. You know what I mean? And I believed him. You know what I mean? And it was cruel, but we always joke around with each other like that, And they just thought it was so funny that I didn't know anything about sex. So I didn't know anything about sex. So anyway, but I got into sex. Okay, I want to tell you now. I'm setting this up. Is that I really didn't meet. Of course, I told you I'm not aggressive whatsoever. And I was in a relationship with the Jehovah Witness one time, and my sister was in a relationship. We was this family. When this is the closest I would have gotten in a relationship with a woman that I would have done anything. And I'm not gonna put that. So anyway, on Wednesdays, my parents, and I had stepfather and mother, they would go out every Wednesday with this other family that were our friends in the neighborhood. And I started liking the girl, one of the girls, and my sister liked the guy. It was just a fun thing, So when the parents would leave, we would go over to their house. We would sneak over to their house. I don't know if it was sneaking or whatever, but it was a great time. So anyway, we would sometimes sit on it. We would sit in the living room, in the dining room with them, watching TV, and the lights were out, and my sister, just knowing her, my sister was gonna do anything with anybody. I don't know. She was just trained so well. But anyway, she was with the guy, and I was with the girl, and we really liked each other. And that's the only time I felt really freely with with a woman. I was very young, and even one time we were on bunk beds. My sister and her boyfriend was on the bottom bed, but they weren't. I don't know. They were in another room. I don't know what they were doing. But I was on the top bunk, and she was, like with me, and I got really excited. But she wasn't aggressive, so nothing ever happened. We went through many occasions, but nothing ever happened because she's not aggressive, and I'm definitely not aggressive sexually. Definitely not. So how did I relieve myself? I mean, as far as this time I'm telling you about, I pretty much was attracted to mature men, okay? I'm just saying that was the truth. I mean, I was younger, maybe in my early 20s, like that, 19 or 20. And I had, of course you wanted to do something, but I would usually do things it had to have been a mature person, okay? Someone older than I was, because there was this one, I'm just telling you about one occasion. Now I'm getting into something to show how the personalities might come clash together. Like the girl I was telling you about with Dallas, my friend, and she did the prayer and everything, like the Catholic prayer. But now I'm getting in to show you how they could clash together. Okay, so I set you up. Okay, so that's what I'm talking about. This clashing of the two personalities. I don't know what I'm going to call it now. That you may acquire, but they might clash together. So anyway, like I said, I would pretty much like for my sexual activity, because it was there, I was so young, I would pretty much like, which term could I use? Masturbate or jerk off? I don't know if I use masturbate or jerk off, but anyway, that's what I would do with a male. I was a male, and I would naturally seek another male, but they had to be mature. They had to be older, most likely older than me. That was my attraction. So now I'm going to tell you what happened. Now I'm going to show you how these two things clashed. So this is my first one, telling you how I had this two personalities, or I'm not going to say two personalities, I'm two things in my personality, okay? So we had this congregation. We were in the congregation. I remember this guy. He was my age, so I wasn't really attracted to him. Around my age. If he wasn't my age, he was 1 year ahead of me or 1 year below me, okay? So I was like maybe in my 20s, okay? But he was like the same age. I'm almost positive. And people would say that we had similarities as far as look was concerned. But he wore his hair a little bit higher, a bigger bush, but he was so serious also. So I didn't really become friends with him, but I would talk to him, okay? But I didn't know he had a brother, okay? I'm telling you this because you have to know something that I didn't know. And I would just see him in the congregation, and people would say, hey, you look like what you call him or whatever, but it didn't really affect me. And I didn't have, and now when he talked to me, I didn't feel like, oh, wow, I really like that guy, or any feelings, you know what I mean? There were some people in the congregation I really was attracted to, but I never did anything with anybody in the congregation either. I told you that already. So anyway, So one time I was in the mall, and this is a mall that I guess I can tell you the mall. Everybody's old. It was like Springfield Mall. It was in Virginia. And I was very excited. I mean, I wanted to do something or whatever. And I remember I was in the bathroom and I met this guy. And I did not know that he was a brother of the guy that I was talking about in the congregation. I had no idea, okay? So anyway, we did something, and this is how God is, because it's like you did this and I'm going to show you who you are. That's what I'm kind of understanding also, because God is always with you. He already knows what you're doing and your decisions that you make. And like, I know that God knows what Serena's doing. It's like, okay, you can do it, but I'm going to show you. So anyway, so I did that, and I just forgot about it. It was like, okay, yeah, nice person. And I forgot about it. Like, there's no way in the world I'm going to ever see this person again. So as time goes on, I go into the congregation, and the guy that looks like me and is my age, his brother comes to the congregation. Now that I could see, maybe he knew who I was, but I didn't know who he was, because he would never come to a congregation of Jehovah's Witness, but he was there with his brother. Maybe he thought that I was going to be so happy, but no way. So anyway, I almost freaked out, because what was happening was that my personality with the Jehovah's Witnesses was coming to clash with something that I've hidden from myself. There's two different ways you could do it. I could have done those things, and the only thing we did was just that. I mean, I never, like I said, I didn't take sex education, so I didn't know all the things that you could do, and I'm pretty happy for that, because the only thing I did as far as my wrongness was jerking off with another guy or masturbating with them. I mean, that was like touching them or whatever. And that was the highlight of my sexuality. That's all I even knew about doing. And that's all that I felt I had to do. So anyway, so when I saw this person, I don't know if that's too much information, but so when I saw this person, it was clashing, and that's what it was. It was like, what's going on? And I was like, why is this guy here? And I was so in shock. And that's shock, being in shock was like, I didn't know what I would do. I didn't know, maybe I would pass out. I don't know. I never passed out before, but I didn't know how to handle the situation if this guy got out of hand. I don't know what he was going to do. But he was nice to me, and he did not come up to me. He looked at me, and I know he knew that I was there, but now I can see that maybe, because he was older. He was like late 20s or early 30s, okay? So, and that's the attraction I have for him. So, he was there, and he didn't do anything, thank God, but I didn't know. I could see the boiling of my two things that I had in my personality. I'm not going to call it two personalities, but they're in my personality. And the one that I was clashing with was the one I even hid it from myself. Some people don't hide it from themselves. But like whenever I talk to my friends or whatever, I would hide it. It was hidden from myself. So if you hide something from yourself, it's not going to come out to other people, So it's like it didn't happen. It never happened. But now I'm faced with the fact that, yes, it's there. And I'm clashing with these two things in my personality. And he didn't do anything. And that was like such a relief. And I was just like, I'm almost sure there was a God, because it was like, I was saying like, why is this happening to me? Why is this happening to me? Like, we can know God, and we don't even have to know that he's there. We don't even have to know that we know him. But I was just saying, why is this happening to me? Why is this happening to me? You know what I mean? It was a big deal. So anyway, that was showing you how they can clash. But then there's something else that happened. Then I found out my sister was getting married. And I was in the wedding. And we have to get tuxedos when you get in a wedding. And I found out, I walked in for the first time. They said, you have to go to this place, and it's in Springfield Mall. And I went to that place, and who did I see there? It it was the same guy. I was like, oh, now I wish he was a nice person, one of the nicest people that I've met. Now I would have became friends with them, but he protected me, and that's, I mean, because one good thing is that I always, like I said, I always did things with very mature people. I mean, they had to at least look like they were, and they had to be a little bit aggressive. Not aggressive mean, but aggressive, kind of aggressive. Like, my life is in their hands. And my life was in his hands when I was in the congregation, and he handled it just right. So I'm glad that I did have that choice naturally. And when I went into place, he also was very kind. And he understood my immaturity. And he really treated me, I have to thank him, because he really treated me very well. I could have just, I don't know what would have happened. So that's another time that it clashed, okay? And I still wasn't over with. And from my standpoint of what God sees, it's like, well, this is how you are, you know what I mean? So I just want to let you know that you're going to have to put up with something, you know, you're going to have to learn something about yourself. And that had nothing to do with Jehovah's Witnesses. Like I said, he's in your life, and it's a Jehovah's Witness. You don't even know what's going on. You can't even think about that. If I was a Christian, then I could say, oh yeah, but this is God's telling me something. You know what I mean? I know he can see what's happening. So then that wasn't enough. One time we were at home, because you have to go back. You go there to see which one you want. I don't know how. I know I had to go back more than one time, okay? And so I said I was in the wedding, and my brother was in the wedding. My younger brother was in the wedding also. And I remember one time, my brother came home, and he goes, boy, that guy who does the tuxedos, you know, he is so nice. I really enjoyed talking with him. And he knows you, and he told me to tell you, how are you doing? And I was like a clash. Again, it was a clash. It was something that I couldn't handle. But again, because I was with a mature person, he really handled it in a very nice way. So I had to go back, I think, pick up the tuxedo and all this other stuff. I had to go back more than one time. And I went in. So that shows me at least I had the strength to go in, okay? Probably because he already showed me that he was going to handle the situation in a mature way. And I went in and I did what I had to do, but I didn't even talk to him. I don't even think I talked to him. I'm sorry for that. And, but he handled it in a very, if it was the wrong person, I don't know, right to this day, I don't know what would have happened, okay? But it was a very big deal to me. So I'm showing you that I had this two things in my personality that couldn't conflict with each other. If they conflicted, I don't know what would have happened. Now, there's another one that I'm going to tell you about. That shows you the wrong thing that you can have. And to the Jehovah's, it was very wrong. And I felt it was very wrong what I was doing, but I didn't have the connection. I didn't connect the two together in my personality. One was even hidden from me, which is sad. So then there was another time, as far as my aggression with my studying and things like that. One time we had this, and I'm going to get into Selena, but you have to learn this first. These two personalities, things in your personality. And one time, we were doing this, it was a wedding or something. I don't know what it was, but I think it was a wedding or something. And we had to do this Michael Jackson skit, or this Jackson 5 skit, okay? And the guys was mostly, you know, it was pretty much all of us were black. And I was over Theodore Brown's house. Everybody's over. It doesn't make a difference. I can say the names. And I wanted to do this skit, this Michael Jackson skit, or this Jackson 5 skit, or the Jackson skit. And I don't know, I'm almost sure it was ABC. I think that was the song. And I got so aggressive because it was studying. It was something that I like, you know, like I told you, I'm aggressive when it comes to me and studying something. And I noticed, and this is another part of another part of a personality. When we started studying, I got a little bit too serious, and I noticed that people were saying, "Why is he so serious?" And we were going like, "Where you have to go like this." And you know how we used to dance in the '60s or the '70s, not '60s or '70s, but this was in the how old was I? Well, this is in the '80s, I guess. And but we were doing this thing, and you had to go like this. You know how they dance the Michael Jacksons, and you knew like to turn. But only I got so serious, and they were like, okay, But they did a good job. But I noticed that now I can see very clearly how I was too aggressive. But it was another part of my personality because I wanted to do something like that. I wanted to do something with my entertainment, with my thing. So it wasn't really like a Jehovah Witness type of approach. And that was an aggressive type personality that wasn't really expected in the Jehovah Witnesses. And then I had myself. But like I said, that part I didn't even know anything about. I didn't even know it exists that much. Okay. So now I showed you about the two personalities. Now I want to get into like Serena Williams. She picked her choices. She says she's Jehovah Witness, but the only thing I see as a Jehovah Witness is when she talks about Jehovah Witnesses. To me, she has no whatsoever feel as being a Jehovah Witness. Even when I read her writing, the only thing that grasped me as her being a Jehovah Witness was the style in which she wrote about religion. Then that was the only part, the disjointed, unnerving kind of feeling of writing about the perspective, where there's no perspective at all, okay? Just wanting the person to know when she's writing that she believes in Jehovah. That's it. That was like the only thing I saw in her writing. So I don't see her as a Jehovah Witness. Even when she grew up, we already know. She did tennis. She picked tennis before she picked Jehovah Witness, because I remember when I was that young, her age, she wasn't young. She was like in her teens or whatever, late teens. And by that time, you should know whether you want to be a Jehovah Witness and follow everything that they had to do. But she didn't pick that. So that means that she played tennis her whole life. She always picked tennis. And it's not like she didn't want to be a tennis player, because that's her choice. And she was in America, and she had her freedom as a Christian society to do whatever she wanted. And her father accepted it. So she didn't pick out any values as far as being a Jehovah Witness. She's a tennis player. There was tennis and there was being a Jehovah Witness, and she picked tennis, okay? And when I was growing up, and all ex-Jehovah Witness, whoever were growing up in a Jehovah Witness, we continue to be Jehovah Witness to where we had a Jehovah Witness culture, okay? She doesn't have a Jehovah Witness culture because she grew up and all of her choices were surrounded by being a tennis player. So she doesn't have the personality culture. And I don't know how I'm going to put the culture in her personality as being a Jehovah Witness. We can see it clearly, okay? Because she picked tennis, okay? All of her friends, and this is the way we grew up as a Jehovah Witness, all these things that counter, she actually grew up like an ex-Jehovah Witness. But what I'm trying to say, but she, like I'm saying, these are the parts of her personality, like I said, I had, that she does not let know in herself. Evidently, she doesn't let herself know that she wants this and she wants this, okay? That she's this way and she's this way. Because she doesn't have a Jehovah Witness culture in her personality. Like when you grow up, you have a Jehovah Witness culture because you learn how to deal with Jehovah Witnesses. You're always there with them. You're going out in service every week. You're going to the meetings. You know you have to go to the meetings. I don't know which meetings I missed. I don't think I ever missed a meeting for sickness or anything. It was always a meeting. I mean, constantly. A meeting, a Jehovah's Witness. But she doesn't have that background. And I know she wasn't even like Michael Jackson when he made himself go to the meetings. I can tell in her personality that she doesn't have experience in, I don't care if she traveled all around the world. She wasn't like Michael Jackson where he traveled and he went to the meetings and had to wear all this garb for the Jehovah's Witness. This girl did not go to the meetings. How can I tell? Because she doesn't have the Jehovah's Witness culture. She doesn't have any form of the Jehovah's Witness culture. So what I'm saying is she's saying that she's a Jehovah's Witness in her personality. And then she has this other thing that is a free thing, a freedom, okay? And they don't clash, okay? They don't clash. Why don't they clash? Because we as Christians and the people surrounding her lives her dream, lives just like the guy I was telling you about. He helped me out by not exposing me. We don't expose her. Everybody surrounding her doesn't expose her. I told you her editors edit to make us understand what she's talking about. And her book was so disjointed. I don't know how in the world the editor should have told her, this doesn't make any sense. It just doesn't make, the only point she makes in her writings as a Jehovah's Witness is Jehovah, is that she serves Jehovah. That's the point of everything, which is just one point, okay? And it has nothing to do with God, because God is so many things. I mean, even if his name was Jehovah, he would still be the God of Abraham, the God of Israel, the Jewish God, the Father, Son, Holy Spirit. He has so many names. He has so many things to go by. I am with Moses. I can think of so many ways to call God, you know what I mean? So what I'm saying is that she never grew up as a Jehovah's Witness, okay? But in her personality, she has a Jehovah's Witness, and she has this freedom Christianity world that she won't accept. And who helps her? The world. We help her. All the people surrounding her. When she's talking about she's Jehovah's Witness, I know how Christian people who grow up in Christianity say. They agree, because they're taught like you have to be a free person. You have to trick God if you want him. You could do this, you could do that, you can do that. So they just look at her and they go, yes, you're right. Yes, you're right. Yes, you're right. And another thing that she didn't do as a Jehovah's Witness, because she did the 79 questions. I saw her 79 questions, or whatever they do on Vogue. I think it's 79 questions. And they ask her each question. Every question, I didn't hear a hint of her being a Jehovah's Witness at all. I mean, even in Michael Jackson's song, he said things in his song that showed that he was a Jehovah's. For 40 days and for 40 nights, I was on her side. I mean, he had so many things, like the personality. You could tell that he grew up as a Jehovah's Witness. You could tell that no matter where he was, he went to the meetings. Okay, so he has a genuine, cultured personality. She doesn't have it. Serena does not have it. 0 point. Okay, so but it doesn't make us any difference, and that's what she's living off of, the fact that we're Christians and we can't judge people. And if you say you're a Jehovah's Witness, okay, yeah, you're a Jehovah's Witness, okay. But everything that she did, she couldn't do if she was a Jehovah's Witness. And when I say she couldn't do, that means in your head, you would say, I can't do this. I mean, when you're a Jehovah's Witness, you say you cannot do this. And it becomes a shock. Like I was telling you, the thing that happened to me, I knew I couldn't do it. So I didn't know what would happen if I was exposed. You cannot be exposed. If you're a Jehovah's Witness and you're doing something wrong and you're hiding it from yourself, you cannot be exposed. And if you're exposed, you don't know what's going to happen. Serena doesn't have that fear of being exposed. Why? Because she does whatever she wants. Why can she do whatever she wants? Because she lives in a Christian society. And God helps her. I'm almost sure God, He will keep helping you until you click in your brain that, hey, God is actually helping. The system that He created is actually helping me. The system that He made is actually helping me. Okay? But she's not going to think that way. So anyway, like I said, everything, okay, not just that, but then I looked up again, Lemonade, okay, Beyonce's Lemonade. And she did a live performance with Beyonce, which is a Christian, and she loves God, okay? And she's doing whatever she wants, because God let us do whatever we want as Christians. And she got up on stage and did more expression and everything, like a wild Christian, on the stage with Beyonce. Shock. She could not do that. She could not do that if she was a Jehovah's Witness. And this girl is saying at that point when she's on the stage that she's a Jehovah's Witness. Okay? And she's not baptized, of course, but I'm saying to herself, okay? So I'm saying it's two personalities. So, not two personalities, two things in your personality. I want to keep it like that. I don't want to get medical. So then not just that, but then I looked on the video and she did a very good job. And we accepted it, and we were so happy cheering her on as ex-jehovah Witnesses. And then another thing she did was the Lemonade video. And she did a very good job. And she was in that one. Did she blink an eye? No. She did the part and she did it well. Then her friends are heads of church, okay, in England. Like Merck and Prince Henry. Those people are heads of church, okay? It's not just a king and queen is the head of a church, Christian church. And that's their best friend. That's their best friend. That's her best friend. That's one of her best friends or one of her best friends. And she doesn't blink an eye. So the only thing is that she has that in her personality. But the way she does it, it shows that she doesn't have Jehovah's Witness culture whatsoever. So she goes through and she does everything she wants. Her argument, like the way she argues with the empire and all this other stuff, the way she argues with the people, which is nothing big deal. Okay, everybody does it. But she doesn't do it away a Jehovah's Witness. When she's arguing or something, and even when she's wrong, and now I can see that I'm not saying she was wrong. I don't even think about it, but I like the way she did it when she broke the racket. But a Jehovah's Witness, she showed no inkling of Jehovah's Witness culture in her bones, okay? So that's telling me, you have to show something. That's telling me that there's two personalities. Two things in her personality. There's a freedom woman, Christian woman. And Christian, you don't have to go to church or anything like that because God is everywhere because it's a Christian society, okay? It's just a Christian. You could even say that you don't believe in God. You're still in a Christian society because it lets you do whatever you want. So she has that one part of her personality. And then the other part of her personality is in one personality is I'm a Jehovah's Witness. And it's so funny to see her say, I'm a Jehovah's Witness, and I watch the Watchtower and the Awake. And then she marries someone who's not in a Jehovah's Witness and proud of it, okay? I want to say something about the blood issue. I don't see how she survived. I just want to say this, but maybe it happened without her having an inkling of blood. I don't know how that happened, but she had some issues, mental. Let me see. She had a lot of blood issues. And I don't know how she made it out, because not just that, but the doctors don't know how to do what she's doing. In order to have something medical, it has to, first of all, let me tell you, it has to happen. And then it has to continue happen in order for them to not use blood in anything. They would have had to have experience. If they don't have experience, that means that you're an experiment. So if she made it through without any blood whatsoever, she was an experiment, because it just doesn't, it has to happen like constantly for them to understand what happened, what to do. If it doesn't happen, if it's just for Jehovah's Witnesses, it's just another thing. I'm not going to say that she did any blood or anything. I'm just going to say she had a lot of blood issues. And for her to make it, I would have to say God really helped her. Not the Jehovah's Witnesses, because I had it in my life too, to where my ex-wife, needed blood. And I said no, okay? And then after that blood issue, I found out that it wasn't the Jehovah's Witnesses at all. It was definitely God who helped me. Definitely. And he let me know that, okay, you're going to go this way, but then you're going to need my help, okay? And I got his help. That's the only way that my ex-wife survived, because I was praying to God. I didn't even know I was praying to him, but I was praying to him. So yes, if she made it without blood, I would have to say that God, because she's a famous person and a lot of people love her, he took to her and said, okay, we're going to make sure that you make it. Or she was praying to him or whatever. I don't know how it works, but I know that, and not just that, but she had to have Christian doctors or some kind of doctors that listened to God that helped her. But what would she say? No, it was Jehovah. Okay. So the only thing I'm stating here is that now, after everything's happened, she's going to have to come. I'm going to say she decides to be baptized. And I think it's something that has to, it's like an experiment. It's like a, how can I say experiment? It's like a test, or like she's testing God or something. Because she goes through her whole life, she does everything that she wants. And it's just like your parents, okay? Like when you do something and you don't even know, I want to tell you what I did. Okay, when I did things wrong, I only did it once. Like I remember stealing. I'm not stealing. I remember, first of all, I said this about myself. But when I was like in second grade, I wanted to cheat on a spelling test. And this is how her mindset is with God. And he sees her, and it's like she's a little child, because she wants to do everything that she wants to do, and then she wants to be a Jehovah's Witness. Let me just finish this first. What I'm trying to say is, I was taking a spelling test. I was in second grade, and I said in my mind, I didn't know if it was cheating or whatever, but I had this paper, and I put down I couldn't spell at all. And I put down the spelling words on it, and I said, what I'm going to do is in my desk, when I see a word that I can't spell, I'm going to turn the paper, I'm going to sneak in my desk, and turn the paper to the word that I have to spell. Stupid. It's just like, now I'm relating it to Selena. It's just like, she said in the beginning, I'm going to do whatever I want to do, okay? And then later on, I'm going to do this or whatever. Anyway, what I'm trying to say is that God's watching her do all of this. And he goes, I'm helping you because I'm happy for you, and I want you to do everything and you're making a lot of people happy. And then she wants to go and get baptized as a Jehovah's Witness, but God sees that, okay? So anyway, like I said, I'm not even realizing that it's not really a good plan, because although I think it's a good plan, I didn't know that the teacher was there. Like, it was so stupid, I didn't have the knowledge. Like, She doesn't have the knowledge to know that you're not fooling anybody, okay? So as soon as I started doing it, the teacher, thank God he didn't tell my mother, but he said, Pierre, you're cheating. You're not going to take the test. Just like that. I didn't know that I wasn't really good at it. You know what I mean? Very terrible at it, actually. So that was only happened to me one time. After that, I never cheated in school. After that one time. And thank God I was just that type of person. Even when I remember my mother made a beautiful cake, okay? And she put it up on the refrigerator, you know? And I thought that I could take it, and I didn't realize there's all these things looking at me. It's just like we don't realize that. If God wanted to see anything, he could see anything, you know what I mean? If he's interested in you. So anyway, I get on a chair, and I go up to the cake. It had a hood on it, a cake top or whatever. And I got my hand in, and I got a piece of cake, and I ate it. And I didn't think anybody is just like, she doesn't think God is looking at all. Oh, I could do this. And I ate the cake. And of course, my mother, she probably even saw me get up on the stool and laugh to death. And she goes, somebody took this piece of cake. And she goes, I already know it's you, Pierre. I know you did it. So she was running around with me, and I always would run sometimes, like when I was going to get a beating. But this one, it was so, now I can see that it was so funny for the whole family. This wasn't really serious, but they were like cracking up. But I didn't know it until now. I can look back and see that it was so funny. It was so funny to her that I remember she had a rod when she finally caught me. And everybody was around, and she had this it was like a rod that you put the curtains up on. She didn't really hit me or anything, but I think they had so much fun with it. But I didn't realize that they were having fun with it. But I never stole. After that, I never stole again. So I'm glad it happened that way. Never stole anything. Like I said, just one time, then that was it. So then I didn't steal anymore. But what I'm trying to say is now, Serena has put herself in a position to where, he helped her. God helped her with everything that she could ever want. And she got everything that she could ever want. And she made a lot of people happy. And she helped out the sport. So she was really doing something. But now she comes to the point at the end of everything, and she makes herself a Jehovah's Witness. But, like I said, there's her personality that now I can see that we build our personalities. The personality she built, could it clash? Is God going to allow her to live those two different, and she still does it. She goes to the sporting event, she does all these things, she still has her friends, and her friends are going to die, okay? Her friends are going to die. That's as a Jehovah's Witness. It's another thing that she doesn't have as a Jehovah's Witness. When you have a Jehovah's Witness and you have friends, you have friends that are in the world, you just say in your mind, these people are going to die. They're going to die. And like Mark, Prince Henry, her best friends, they're going to die. The royal family is going to die. All of her friends, Oprah Winfrey, all of them, they're just going to be laying all over the place. They're going to all die, and I'm going to be here, and I'm going to go to the new system. So now the only thing I want to say at the end of this is, how is God going to do this experiment that she's created? Selena made this experiment, okay? And like I did with my stealing with the cake and my test, that I was testing, that I wanted to take a test, Serena was thinking, oh, I can do everything I want, anything I want, and everything's going to be all right. And at the end, I'm going to say, I'm a Jehovah's Witness and I'm going to get baptized. And now we have to see how God is going to deal with that, because they're going to clash. And now we're going to see, because she got baptized. And not just that, but baptism, I don't know what you say, but she's old enough to understand what's going on now. She may not know her two personalities that she built in her personality. I'm not saying two personalities, but two things in her personality know exactly each other. Her Christian personality that she lived with in a Christian society, and then her personality as a Jehovah Witness, okay? They're two distinct cultures, or whatever you want to call them. I'm not saying two personalities, but inside their personality, and they don't know each other. But how is God going to do this? To let her know, and it's going to clash. And now we just have to see what's going to happen. And it will happen. I don't know how it's going to happen. Maybe it's going to be funny. Maybe it's going to be not funny. But I just want to see how God is going to work it out. But I know He helped her out in her whole life, and we all enjoyed her. So that's it. That was a long one, but it was very complex. And I'm glad I did it this way. And it lets me see the method in which I explained this. I'm glad that it's so complex, the things that I had to talk about, that I hope everybody appreciates the method in which I explain things, because it's the only way that we could do it this way, because there's so many things, pockets, like when I explain things, a lot of times there's so many pockets that you have to understand, especially the complexity of being an ex-Jehovah Witness and a Jehovah Witness. So thank you very much. Now this thing has to download. Maybe it's going to take 2 hours. I don't know. So I'll see you later, and thank you very much. I hope you enjoyed this ex-Jehovah Witness YouTube. Bye.